Hello friends! In this video I want to talk to you about all the books I read in the month of July. It was a huge reading month for me. I read 10 books. Also, I had a birthday that month, and also I participated in Jane Austen July and in Reading Crush. So I have lots to tell. Stay tuned. Let's go. I think all my reading in this month we can divide in three parts. First, it's just books I've read for, my own pleasure or for book clubs or something like that. Second, books for Jane Austen July, which I failed. And third, books for Reading Crush, which I failed too. So it was an interesting thing to try to participate in all these things. I'll tell about this all later. First book I've read in the month of July was The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. This is the very first of Hercule Poirot series, and it's great. I liked it a lot. I read it, I think, something like 10 years ago, maybe 15, and I was lucky to forget almost at all what happened in this book, so it was like a fresh experience for me. I don't think we can tell about this like a reread because I remember absolutely nothing, like nothing at all. So I gave it 5 stars. The reason I read this book is because I remembered how much joy Agatha Christie novels brought to me, and I just want more of this in my life. So I decided to reread all Agatha Christie novels I read before. So basically, all Hercule Poirot and all Miss Marple novels. And this is the first I started with. So this is a book about Mr. Hastings who came. This is in the middle of First World War, but I think he was wounded or something, so he came back from the war, and he stayed at his friend's house, and his friend lives with his mother and a lot of other relatives and friends, and so his mother actually was killed, and Hastings he saw in the village one of the Belgian refugees he used to work with before the war in Belgium police, when there was some case where English policemen worked with Belgian police, and it was Poirot. So he invited Poirot to look at this case, and he found a murderer. It was really good. You can say that this is a debut novel. Author is not very sure what he is doing, but she is doing great. And what I like about Agatha Christie, it's not only the big reveal. There are a lot of like small mini mysteries, like somebody do something weird and it's explaining, and not all these clues lead to the main event. They lead to their small little conclusions. I like this because there are like 3 or 4 mysteries in this book you can think about, and I like how all these little, this is not a thriller, so there is no rush, nothing, nobody, rush through a forest or something. No, there are a lot of small clues. There are some maps. There is like a toilet, like table which is a little bit slightly not in different place, and it's like a major clue, so something like that. And I like this a lot. um like I understood that in my life few things bring me as much joy as Agatha Christie novels, so I want to read them all and have it all in my possession. And this is the first one, and it was great. Second, I've read Persuasion by Jane Austen. This was my main novel for Jane Austen July. I have a separate review for this, so I will not tell about this a lot. I gave it 5 stars. I liked it a lot. It is very different, I think, from Pride and Prejudice, for example, and other Austen novels that I've read. I can't compare it like this is my favorite, this is not my favorite. I think this is maybe not my favorite, but it was great. This is a book about Anne Elliot, who is, I think, in her late 20s in this book. And her father spent almost all their money, and they need to lend their house to another people and move to live in Bath. And before this, she wanted to live with some friends, with her sister, and then with her mother's friend. And during all this, her traveling in different houses, she met a man, and he is a relative to the couple who rent their house. And actually, Anne was engaged with this man 7 or 8 years ago. And so it's like a book about second chance, how they almost do not speak to each other at the beginning, and then at the end, spoiler alert, they got married. So yeah, this is a great book. I liked it very much. I do not like maybe the romance in this book as much as in Pride and Prejudice, but all characters are very well written and very vivid and very live. And I like all the characters and all the family situations in different families. I liked it a lot. It was such a pleasure to read. Jane Austen, always 5 stars. Well, almost always. Then I had a 2-star read, and it was Little Paris Bookshop. It was my book club pick, and as you can see from the rating, I almost hated it. So this is a book about a man who live in Paris, and he has this small ship, like a small ship, in which he has a bookshop. And it's not like a usual bookshop. It's like book pharmacy, something like that. So, for example, a woman come to him and want to buy a romance novel, and he tell her something like, "No, I will not, I will not sell you this romance novel because there is too much bad romance in your life, and read this thriller; it will bring you more joy." And woman first tell him something like, oh, how can you tell me this? I have a great, I don't know, relationship. But then she understood that he was right, and it's her relationships are like trash. And so she took this thriller, and she's happy. I think this is such a strange idea to tell people, like, no, this is not a book for you. I will give you a book for you, and I will tell about your life, anything. Like, WTF. But he has a secret. He had relationships with bad ending, which ended 20 years ago, and he had this closed room when in his apartment, and he never goes in there because there are too many memories about this woman in this room. And there are some circumstances. He goes in this room and he finds a letter from her which he refused to open 20 years ago. And now he opened this letter. And this letter, this woman wrote to him that she is dying 20 years ago. And she wants him to come to her before she died. So he's really upset. He's like, this is such a tragic situation, and he just took his ship with his library. Few more people. Well, at the beginning it is one man, and then there are more people in there. He began to travel across the France to find this town where this woman was, well, where she died. Um, it was over the head, strange, rather silly romance book. It was really bad. The writing was really bad. Characters were two-dimensional and never change. It's so also cheesy and so bad written. Horrible book. Do not waste your time on this. Like, I didn't like it at all. Then I read another five-star book for Jane Austen July, and it was by the book, a novel by Julia Sonborn. Sorry for this, I couldn't take it off without ruining the book, and I bought it like this secondhand. So, um, this is a novel. This is a retelling of Persuasion by Jane Austen. It was really sweet and very interesting and very good written. This is a book about about Fairfax College in Southern California, and our main protagonist named Anne. She works there, and she is writing a book about Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte and other women writers, and she has her classes, and she has a gay friend, another professor, and then like she had a new boss, president of the college, Adam Martinez, and it is a man with whom she was engaged 10 years ago, and then they split it, and now she's working there, and she has a new romance, an author who works there, also a very famous writer, and also she is not completely over Adam, and it was very good. All people are very real and very intelligent. I understand all things that they do. They do nothing too stupid. Like, in romance novels, sometimes protagonists do something and you are, okay, I understand this is for the novel, but people do not speak like this in the real life or do things like this in real life. No, this is all very believable. And this is a romance novel almost without sex, which I appreciate a lot. This is mostly about her life, her professional struggles, and also how you can combine in your life romance and work. And this is good book. Very, very good book. It brought me a lot of pleasure. So read it. Maybe next Jane Austen July. This is Persuasion retelling, and this is good retelling. Like I looked, and this author wrote nothing after this book, and this book was written 2018. So maybe we can expect something else. I would definitely read anything she writes. So yeah, I like this book a lot. At this point, reading crush started. And I had such a plans for reading Crush. I wanted to read all the book, like for example, 4 or 5 books for all the challenges. And I started also strong. um, uh, this is a wonderful middle grade novel about a girl called Emily. Her parents, she has a brother and her parents are bloggers, and they had this blog like 50 states, life in 50 states, something like that. So they want to live in all the states of United States of America. And so they travel a lot all the time. And she is not very happy about this. She is a teenager. She is an introvert. It's hard for her to have new friends in every new, um, city where they live. And here they moved to San Francisco. And in San Francisco, there is this fictional, he's not writer, he's a publisher, who they tell that he is a Willy Wonka of publishers industry. And he has all these games like book scavenger hunts. For example, there is a website and there is a community around this website, and you hide a book and put on this website a clue, like clue with some riddle or some problem to solve or some cipher to to understand. And another people find this book, and so they gain these points. And this girl is all into this game. She played it a lot, and there is a rumor that this man, he wants to start another game, like different game. And the day she came to San Francisco, he got to the hospital, and it was not like somebody shoot him. And when this girl with her brother and her new friend went to the place where he was shot, they found a very special book, which was the first clue in this new game, also like a scavenger hunt, book scavenger hunt around across San Francisco. So they move in different places in San Francisco. They go different streets, all real streets and all real like landmarks, and find there some clues. And also this is book about friendship and about sibling relationships and about love to books and about a lot of about ciphers and all these things. And it was really great. Like it's unpardonable. It was interesting. It was engaging. I really want my daughter when she is older, when she will be older, to read this book, and maybe we will go in these places in San Francisco to look for this, for these clues or something. And also, there is a website which was done after this book was published, and it's like that scavenger hunt. And we found, well, the reason I have this book from the library, we found a book in the park, which was there was a paper that was telling about this game and about this book, not this book, another kids book, and we also hide it and we put a clue on the website, and nobody had found it yet. So yeah, it is interesting game. It is very good novel, and I want more people to read it. So yeah, paid attention. This is a great book for book lovers, for all book lovers of all ages. Another book I've read for reading crush was Their Finest, a novel by Lisa Evans. And this was a big mistake for this for reading crush, because it is first 436 pages. And also, this is not an easy movie. This is not an easy read. This is a book about Second World War in England, in London, There are few main protagonists and older actor who has hard times to understand that he is getting older and he needs different roles. A young woman, Catherine, who is a copywriter in the newspaper, and she was summoned by a Ministry of Information to be a writer on the set of a propaganda movie about Dunkirk. They summoned her because she was good at writing about women, and there are a few main protagonists in this movie, women protagonists, and they want them to be believable, so they need a woman writer for this. And also, third main protagonist in this book is a woman who works at Madame Tussauds Museum, and she just couldn't work there anymore because she was bombed 2 times, and it was very hard for her to stay in London during the Bliss. So she went to live with her, I think, sister or sister-in-law, something like that. But she is no, not sister-in-law, like maybe cousin. She is a married woman, and all these three people they meet on the set of this film, and there are also other people on this set and how it's all goes. But for you to understand, the movie begin to be filmed in the middle of the book, and there is a lot of about bliss, about bombing, about close relatives and friends dying in London during war. And there are some people who came from the war to the set of this movie, and how hard it's to them to live in this new reality, more peaceful reality, and from like after the Dunkirk, for example. And other people find really hard to live in the same peaceful reality, but it's not as peaceful as it was. And so it is frightening for them. So, I mean, this is great historical fiction about World War II. But I thought it will be more light-hearted, like Ganzi Potato Peel Society. It's not. It's it's not very heavy, but it is heavy book, and it is good. All characters are well developed and interesting and very different, and author really describes them deep and unusual thoughts, and you begin to care for them a lot. So this is hard to read sometimes, and it was bad for reading crush, but it is a great book. I gave it 4 stars because a pacing was a little bit slow and uneven, and with hard topic and this slow pacing, this book sometimes was hard for me to pick up in the morning. Like, you try to do other things, not reading this book. But again, this is good book for like 4.5, 4 stars, something like that. Then I read another middle grade book for reading crush. It was The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine Valente. Yes, I think I get it right. It's a rather dark fairy tale. I don't think it is for middle grade. My older daughter is 7, but I just don't think that kid of 10 years old can read it. It's a little bit too dark for kids. I think it's like more young adult. There is no sex, there is no relationships in this book. But for example, a girl met her death at one point, and she almost became a tree at other point. And this book is very heavy on metaphor, and it's wonderful. It is very, very poetic. the language is delightful. And the topics that are discussed in this book are rather deep and sometimes stirred an unexpected angle. I liked it a lot. It gave me a lot of surprise and a lot of, just language admiration. You can reread the same page over and over again because it is too beautiful. It is very autumnal book. There are a lot of fallen leaves in there and crisp in the air, and I liked it about it. And I think this is first book in the series, and I will read all that series definitely. I gave it 4 stars because I am 36 years old, and for me, this book is a little bit too dark. I think it is on the edge of the horror sometimes in some parts. Um, this book is close to Alice in Wonderland, definitely. Magician's Nephew by Clive Lewis. So it is like fairy tale, but dark fairy tale. Philip Pullman, something like that. Great book. I think you need to read this. It's wonderful. Next, I read a book for my book club, and it was Bear Town by Frederick Bachman. And I just didn't like it. um, I have. I don't know how to tell this because I know that this book and this author is favorite for many people. So I feel strange telling that I do not like it, but I have very I do not like Frederick Bachman's book. It's just not my author. I do not believe his characters. I think most of them are two-dimensional and they do not change during the book. Not only this book, all his books, but in this book, the same story. This book is different from his other books because it is more dark and more serious, and the topics of this book are more heavy. This is book about sport, about a hockey team in a very small and poor town. And this hockey team became like celebrities in this small and very close society. And all these people have high hopes about this team winning in some big tournament. And then people and money will come to this town, and this town will survive. So then one boy from the team raped a girl, and how did it influence the team, the town, the girl, the parents of the girl and the boy, and the future of all these characters? I think this is very important topic, and this is good that there are books, famous books, popular books on this topic. And I will give this book to my daughter when she will be 12 or 13 years old, something like that. And I think this is important for her to know what can happen on the parties and how society will treat the girl after the rape, or can treat a girl after the rape. But as an adult, I do not like this book. I think author is speculative and pathetic sometimes. And for me, this style of writing is more suitable for Facebook blogs and for magazine articles in magazines for youth, which is good. This is a great niche that he can write for. But this is a book for adults, and this is a novel, and I expect from the novels more character development and um, more honest story developing. I didn't like this book. 3 stars. I don't think I will read the next book in the trilogy and the last book in the trilogy. And I don't think I will read any Frederick Bachman anymore because I just don't waste my time for the author I do not appreciate, I do not believe. But yeah, this is a very important topic, and this is great that there is a book on this topic. That's all I can tell. Then I read Lady Susan by Jane Austen. I gave it 4 stars. It was a great small novella. It's an epistolary novel, so it is written in letters, and it was very interesting to see how people talk in letters. I think it was more, the tone of this book is more easy and more sassy than other Jane Austen novels. So yeah, I like it a lot. Um, I had very hard time to understand who is who. This is first time in many years when I wrote on the paper like name, who this person is and what he did. But I think that's because the novel was too short and it was all in letters, so there was no description, no, like nothing from the author. I liked it. It is a book about 35 or 36 years old newly widowed woman with 18, I think, or 16 years old daughter whom she wants to marry to the rich man. And she herself, Lady Susan, the main protagonist, she likes to play with men. She likes men to fall in love with her, and she wants to make a victory on all men she knows. And sometimes it influenced how people thinks about her. This is very interesting. I liked it a lot. Um, yeah, great novel. Thank you. Thanks God there is classic in this world. And the last novel I read, it's not translated in English. Let's call it My Teacher Fox by Andrei Belanin. It is Russian humorous fantasy. So it's not a serious, not a high fantasy. It is something like Terry Pratchett, I think, but not that clever. This is a retelling of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. So the premise of the novel. In 1812, there was a comet near the Earth. And after this comet, on the Earth, some animals became intelligent and had the same intellect as people. So they began to live with people, and they wore people clothes and they work on some jobs. So some can be baker or cabman or policeman and so on. And our main protagonist is a young 12 years old boy in Victorian London who met and began to work for a Mr. Fox, who is a Scotland Yard consultant, so like Sherlock Holmes. And this boy helps this fox to solve mysteries. And yeah, so the main flow of this novel, it doesn't it doesn't speak good about women. So it's a little bit misogynian, but it is typical for Russian everything, for Russian fantasy, for Russian novels, for Russian mysteries. So I've got used to it. But overall, this is very enjoyable. there is a lot of talk about race and racism because these animals, they are called close to nature, so you can't tell a beast. Yeah, it's named close to nature, and people sometimes treat them badly because they are different, but as they have the same intellect, you're supposed to treat them the same as other people. So there is that in there, and there is also fun, like fun mysteries, very easy, cheesy. There is a lot of humor. It is very banal. It is very it is very easy read. But I definitely need it after, especially Bear Town. I was so angry while reading this. I needed something to relax after all this. So this is my reading July. 10 books is a lot for me. I have 5-star reads and only one 2-star read. I think this is good. Like, this was a good reading month. I think I failed in both Jane Austen July because I had only 3 novels instead of 4, and I watched 0 movies. And also, I failed reading Rush because I read only 3 books and I needed to read 4 to close all my challenges. But I think, like, overall, this month was a win for me. So, yay! Tell me about your experience in Jane Austen July and Reading Crush, and see you in the next video. Bye!